Still on 7, we walked back to Fraley Field. Farley Field, ever how you say it, Fraley Field.
This is where it all started.
This is where the battle started.
See, it says the battle begins. Alerted by the Confederate shots fired on his patrol, Major James Powell slowly advanced his infantry to this point. His skirmish line entered Fraley Field just before dawn on April 6th. The first soldiers wounded or killed that day fell here as Powell's men returned the musket volley they received from Mayor Aaron Hardcastle's Mississippi Battalion. Hardcastle's battalion, part of the Confederate picket line, was positioned on the high ground in front of you where Fraley and Woods fields meet. The evenly matched firefight in these fields and surrounding woods lasted about an hour before General Johnston launched his attack, forcing Powell to retreat. The battle had begun. During the next 34 hours, nearly 24,000 men would be killed, wounded, or captured in the Battle of Shiloh.
And that is stop number 7.
Yes.
Finished. And we're headed on to 8, guys. Stop number 8.
Right. So the Confederates attack. The early morning skirmish in Fraley Field alerted forward Union commanders to the tens of thousands of Confederate soldiers descending upon their southernmost camps. General Prentiss hastily organized a battle line along the next ridge in front of you to engage the massed Confederate onslaught. Fighting continued here for about an hour as Union troops halted and hurled back the initial Confederate attacks. As more Confederate brigades entered the fight, threatening their exposed flanks, Prentiss's troops retired their battle line 1/4 mile north to defend their camps. This is from 7:30 to 9:30 on April 6th.
Just looking how wooded it is. Man, it would be hard to advance a big army through this. But they did. And this was stop number 8. And we're headed on to 9, guys.
So this is tour stop number 9. We kind of laughed when we saw the title of this storyboard. Hungry Soldiers and Souvenirs. Here the Confederate troops experienced their first victory of the battle. Their commander, General Johnston, personally accompanied the flood of Southern soldiers who engulfed General Prentiss's frontline Union camp at 9 a.m. Hungry and tired, the Confederate formations melted away as both officers and enlisted men looted tents for food and supplies they lacked. They also seized private possessions abandoned by their opponents. This disorganized break notably delayed the Confederate offensive, forcing Johnston to encourage his men to reform ranks and continue the battle. Still, before the day ended, 4 of the 5 Union division camps fell to the Confederates.
9 to 9:45.
April 6th.
And
Seems like they lost their momentum.
they did lose their mo. And
It cost them.
it did cost them.
In the end.
That's how it works. So, on to stop 10. Okay. Okay. Stop number 10 of the self-guided tour is back at the Hornet Nest. And as you can see, you can walk through the thicket.
That's pretty thick.
And it's thick. And there's Confederate, and there's Iowa, and something else down there.
So this is the impenetrable thicket, the Hornet's Nest. Here in the early afternoon of the first day, the 6th, Union troops stubbornly defended the center of Grant's ragged 3-mile battlefront. Deployed in a dense oak thicket, Union infantry, supported by 6 artillery batteries of 4 to 6 cannons each, easily repulsed several piecemeal Confederate assaults. Most of the Confederate army was engaged elsewhere on the battlefield, leaving only isolated brigades to attack Grant's center. Colonel Randall Gibson, under General Braxton Bragg's command, commanded on one such brigade. Gibson's troops, unsupported by artillery, made at least 3 attempts to break the Union line. Each assault stalled in the impenetrable thicket, and his infantry was decimated. Although these attacks failed, the Confederates gained ground elsewhere on the battlefield. And this was between noon and 2 p.m. on the 6th.
And you can see the line all through here. And it goes down through there, and you can walk, guys. There's a lot of walking here if you want to get out at all of them.
We're not doing this justice. We're just
No,
doing
the highlights of it. And we're moving on to 11. Okay, guys, site number 11.
The cost of battle. Statistics alone cannot express the suffering and loss at Shiloh. After the battle, cries of the wounded and dying still filled the air and bodies littered the ground. Union burial details searched the battleground for remains, burying Union and Confederate soldiers separately, often in large trenches. Despite efforts to bury all the dead immediately, Union troops continued to discover remains until June, so a couple months later. Unfortunately, the Federals were unable to identify their Confederate opponents killed during the battle. Officially classified as unknown, they were buried separately throughout the battlefield. The historic mass grave in front of you is one of the 5 that Shiloh battle veterans were able to identify and preserve when the National Park was established in 1894. To the Confederate dead in the trenches erected by the Tennessee Division UDC 1935 is the burial place of Confederate soldiers, one of the 5.
And that would be stop number 11. And we're headed on to 12.
Let's go.
It's pretty out here, though. We're at stop number 12, Jonesfield.
Okay. Order from chaos. In the late morning of April 6th, the field around you was filled with the disorganized mass of Union soldiers. A morning of bitter fighting left Grant's army suffering devastating casualties, lost equipment, and lost ground. The setback was especially apparent on the Union right, which had retired to this point, 1 mile north of Shiloh Church. At this crucial juncture, due to their own disorganization and losses, Confederate forces deployed against the Union right were unable to press the advantage. This pause in Southern pressure, combined with the arrival of fresh troops, allowed Union Generals McClernand and Sherman to hastily reorganize and seize the initiative.
And there is Jonesfield to both sides. And we're headed on to
Number 13.
number 13, yes. Stop number 13. Down this dirt path is another burial site.
So our counterattack buys time. Here at noon on the first day, Grant's reinforced Union right slammed into disorganized Confederate troops in a timely counterattack. Union troops, commanded by Generals Sherman and McClernand, captured cannons and recovered some of McClernand's camps. Fierce fighting continued throughout the afternoon as Confederate troops, led by Generals Hardee and Polk, fought with equal determination. By mid-afternoon, the depleted Union ranks once again grudgingly gave ground, retiring northward. Ordered to hold, Sherman and McClernand withdrew fighting to a new, stronger position east of Tillman Branch. The Union right successfully defended this final front and easily repulsed Confederate attempts to seize and hold ground east of the valley. Their efforts paid in blood for what Grant desperately needed: precious time. And this was between noon and 4. On to number 14.
14. Next on the list. Okay, guys, we're at 14 of the tourist stop.
This is Oaks Pond, and the desperate assaults General Beauregard hurled through this pond on April 7th failed to halt Grant's counteroffensive. With chances for victory gone, Beauregard withdrew his army to Corinth.
You know, to do all this, you'd have to go to Corinth, Mississippi.
Yep.
It's be big, but this 14. Okay.
We ready?
Stop 15.
So this is the Daniel Davis wheat field. You can actually see some wheat over there, right? This Confederate forces seized this area on April 6th during assaults against the Hornet Nest. They stubbornly defended it until April 7th, until Union troops drove them southward after seizing all ground lost the previous day.
And that's kind of the gist of it.
It happened between 8 and 11 a.m. on the 7th.
And this is stop
15.
15. We're headed to 16. Okay, guys. We're at 16.
So 16 was the field hospital. So here in one of the first tent hospitals on a Civil War battlefield, Federal surgeons improved patient care and lowered the death rate. Thousands of wounded. That's a field hospital in Virginia, but it was similar to what it looked like in Shiloh.
Yep.
And Corinth. It's an apple orchard.
Oh, this. So this is 16?
Yep. Yeah, and what we can tell, these really aren't in order by dates.
No, these are.
Yeah.
Not on the auto tour. They just sort of got it looping around to the high spots. So we're off to 17. Okay, 18.
This is the peach orchard.
The peach orchard.
So Sarah Bell's orchard was in full bloom when the Confederates attacked Union forces here on April 6th. The Federals eventually retreated to Pittsburgh Landing but retook the field next day. So this is Sarah Bell's farm, and it makes me wonder if that's either a replica or, the house.
Yeah, it almost looks like a replica, pedestrians only.
Mm-hmm.
And we're to 19, which is just right here almost. So, on we go.